Good afternoon. My name is Dale Rodriguez, and this is Flabonga Monthrothacube. And with me today, I have Mark Choueke. Hey, Mark.
Hi, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'll be honest. I'll say what I said before we went live. I'm a little bit hungry because I often plan these around lunchtime and then fail to consume appropriate lunch before having the conversation, which is
Do you know
unwise.
there's
You think
so
I'd
many
used to it?
different types of people, and I'm not one of these. But there are people out there who know how to schedule their day brilliantly around things like eating, so that they're not hungry. And I'm the same as you. It gets these things get to me. But I've got other skills. You've got other skills.
Hmm. I mean, I need to ask you about the guitar straight away. That's my immediate focus. As you know, you may know, I am a keen guitarist.
Are you? I didn't
What
know
are
that.
behind you? You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. Are you play?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
All
do
right.
play.
Well, if we're doing this, this one here is my youngest, a pride and joy, Gibson
Yep.
J45 that I bought last summer and have not regretted since. Um, the one behind me that looks like it could be a Gibson 335 is actually an Epiphone Casino, on the basis that it was. I'm a Beatles fan, and that was the guitar that all the Beatles had at one point or another. And my wife
Hmm.
actually bought me that as a wedding present, which was
Oh
stunning.
wow.
Like, she literally heard me say my dream guitar is an Epiphone Casino, um, in like month one of our relationship, and she wrote it down and
Hmm.
remembered it. And when it came to our wedding, she
Wow.
presented me with this, and all I'd got her was like a photo montage that I'd had done at Vistaprint of our time together. So kind of there was a mismatch immediately, and expectations were set. And then I also have, I don't know if you can see, but I have a Telecaster down there, which I use for certain things, and
So
that's kind,
that's interesting because
yeah,
one of the things I want to ask you, because there's people who are enthusiasts on both sides, Fender or Gibson, but you have one of each, or
right,
probably
okay,
several of each.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. Do you know what? It's for me. I love both brands. I think both brands are awesome. There's a job going for anyone interested as VP of marketing at Fender, and I think that's going to be a brilliant, brilliant gig. Um, I think, for me anyway, the way I bought my guitar collection, and I'm assuming this is the collection I'll die with. I'm never selling them, but I don't think I can get away with getting another one. Um, is based on what I want to sound like and who I love, who played what guitar, rather than, you know, I'd never go near a Flying V. I'd never go near.
No,
Interestingly, I'd never be able to go near a Les Paul. I know they're sort of universally loved, but I just don't like them.
but they're
Just
the holy grail.
they
They're
are.
the
They are
the
the holy
ultimate.
for so many of you. But yeah, I'm happy with my children.
Okay, then that's the next question. How many are in your collection?
Just these three. I had a Martin D1 that I bought cheap after the London riots in 2011. I it, Everything was being
That sounds
discounted.
really dodgy when you say that. By the way,
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
I
I
bought at the
didn't.
London riots,
Yeah.
it sounds like you were out looted, my
No,
friends.
no.
That's what it sounds like.
Listen, I not only was I old, I was in Turkey during the riots. I was on holiday watching it on TV. Now I got back and was walking down Denmark Street and noticed that all the guitars were less than half price, and the guitar shops had just not shifted anything, and they were used to a business model where they shift like 3 or 4 a week to keep going. And I went in, and this guy had a Martin. I've given that to my nephew because he's learning, which is yeah. So it's lovely to see him play the guitar as well.
Awesome, awesome. We should probably bring this back to business since this is a business platform slash semi-business live stream slash podcast. Okay, so for the uninitiated, please could you explain who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. My name's Mark Choueke. I have done loads of things in my career, and I think the pithy answer is, or the pub answer is, I haven't figured out what I want to do yet. But the sort of the more serious answer is, I haven't sat still or settled into any one thing. I'm just not that kind of person that's ever going to be able to just do the same thing over and over again. I've got a brother-in-law, bless him, who's a global compliance director for a private investment bank, and has been for 20 years and probably will be forever. And he does very well,
Hmm.
thank you very much. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not like that. Like I sort of, I don't know if I get bored, but I'm naturally drawn to more than one thing. Like, I can't imagine why anybody would just want to do the same thing over and over and over again. So, for example, I was marketing week editor between 2009 2012. That was an incredible experience. I mean, before that, I'd been a national newspaper journalist on the business desks. At Marketing Week, I got far more access to bigger names and bigger stories than I ever did as a national newspaper journalist. And who knows why, but I was in Atlanta with the chief exec and chairman of Coca-Cola for 3 days, meeting their entire sort of leadership team and breakfast, lunch, and dinner, learning about the business. It was amazing. But year 4 of that job looked like it was just going to be like years 1, 2, and 3. It looked like the same events, the same awards, the same kind of stories. And I was like, okay, so you kind of, the guy before me at Marketing Week had sat in that desk for 20 years. And the guy who's doing it now, I think is somebody I hired at the time or promoted at the time, very, very good editor called Russell Parsons. It has been there, I think, probably about 10 years. It's not the sort of job you sort of leave, but I went into agencies at the time and worked for a number of brands as kind of strategist, and then went into B2B tech and never left. So I went into a firm called Qubit in 2014 and ran marketing for the UK and the US, and then have been kind of in B2B tech ever since. Various combinations of in-house and consultants. At the moment, I'm running something called Choueke Creative, which is my business. It's consultancy, it's education, and it's sort of fractional CMO stuff. So I'm I'm constantly swapping between clients as contracts run out, projects get completed. At the moment, I'm visiting lecturer at Hertfordshire Business School. I'm running the Boring2Brave Academy, which is something that I have created as a course for marketing wannabe leaders, based on a book that I wrote. And I'm looking for sort of gigs that will keep my children alive with food, as I sort of indulge myself doing things that I like.
Okay, going back a step to your journalism days, do you have a favorite byline?
You don't want to focus on the fact that my kids might starve. I get it. This is a very light show. Keep it light. Yeah.
No. I'll be very honest with you. I'm going to lean closer and say it. I don't care if your kids starve or not.
Wow.
At all.
This just got really interesting, really dark.
Why would I? I never met them. I like you, but if you can't feed your kids, that's on you, man. That's a you problem, not a me problem.
This has got amazing. This is podcast gold. Sorry, what was the question?
Listen, I'm honest.
Yeah, you are. What was the question?
Do you have a favorite byline or a byline that you're most proud of when you're writing and editing?
A favorite what?
A byline or kind of like title or piece that you did while you're writing / editing.
A favorite article that I've written. Yeah. I mean,
the article. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so the Coca-Cola one I mentioned happened in 2011 on the 125th anniversary of the biggest brand in the world, and I was there to find out how in their words, they were going to double their business in 10 years. So do in 10 years what they'd done in 125. And it was I chased Coca-Cola around for stories as a rather sort of snotty little news journalist, trying to outfox them for years and years. So we didn't have a great relationship. I've got no idea why I was invited to Atlanta, but that 3 days I spent with Muhtar Kent, the chairman, and his team was absolutely phenomenal. And it was it was big reveal, everything. You can see under the hood, you can see under the covers. It was like going behind closed doors of the biggest brand in the world. And they told me everything I needed to know. Everything I asked got answered. Like really honest stories about, twice in two particular times in which strategy had been absolutely ill-advised, and that may have brought the company to its knees back in the 80s and the 90s, and
really?
Things that got horribly wrong, and it was really honest. And I phoned back HQ. I was the editor at Marketing Week, so I sort of had the power to do this. Where I said, listen, we normally give our lead article 3 or 4 pages. I want 6 or 7. There's so much here to write. So many people, so many personalities, so many stories, and it was still one of the best business pieces I think I've ever written. I still love it. This was a labor of love. It was everything.
Boring to brave.
Boring to brave. It was the bravery as a strategy thing that I was trying to articulate in B2B about how bravery itself can be a necessary transformational power in your pocket as a B2B marketer if you have got the tools, confidence, and backing to employ it. And it's something. It was kind of an amalgamation of lots of things I've been saying in lots of jobs, facing lots of frustration in organisations like professional services. You and I spoke about before we came live on air, in B2B tech, in B2B sort of services companies. That B2B marketing is largely see once, you've seen it all, same, boring, rather bland, probably blue, blue in colour, not in nature. And
I was about to make that immediate joke. I was like, OnlyFans sells itself, bro.
Jesus, man, if it was blue in nature, you'd read it. But so much of it is so product and feature led and without a soul, without a story.
I love how you're saying that, and I'm literally sitting in one of our offices in like one of our meeting rooms and like,
yeah,
primary colours is blue.
Totally.
But we do have other colours as well. So just need to throw that out there.
Good, God bless you guys. But so that's the thing. I just felt like the brands in B2B that have done just that, invested in themselves as brands as rather as just products and services providers, with a story, with a soul, with a meaning, with a relevance, with a distinction, with a differentiation, have absolutely benefited and garnered harnessed the power of it and gone crazy. And they're the ones we all know about and the ones we all choose to copy and be like, but we don't let our marketers be marketers or do marketing. We make our marketers sit in an office and cover off PR, printing, and Christmas party shit. And it's it's mindless.
Question for you on that one.
Yeah.
How do you be a marketer and how do you do marketing versus what you just said that people don't get to do? Like, what is doing marketing?
If you're a B2B marketer right now, stop listening to me and Dale and take a breath and close your eyes and have a think, especially Dale, right? Because he said that thing about my kids. And have a think about what it is you're there to do. What is your job? What is your job? Your job, you work for the remember me, love me, share me, buy me department. That's it. You work for the team that's responsible for getting somebody to clock you, be aware of you, see the need for you, feel personally attached to you enough to come and explore, talk, and buy you. Well, it starts from marketing. It shouldn't end with marketing. Normally B2B ends with marketing. It's like you can have the last 50,000 or the last 100,000 to do some nice colouring in. We've done the strategy, we've done the product, we've done the pricing. We know how we're going to sell. Go and do your nice words now. It starts with marketing. Because if you think about marketing as who are we, what do we do, why are we better? That starts with product. That starts with pricing. That starts with person, like relevance to the person, to the buyer, promotion, place, all that, all the classic 4 Ps of marketing. And so if you are frustrated and you're capable of more, and you know that absolutely every day bores you, like you're going to be bored today, you're going to be bored tomorrow, and the only thing that's going to separate or sort of light up your existence is the hours between work. So whatever you're doing this evening, either get out or change it. And so Boring to Brave was about understanding what tools, what advice, what guidance, what safety net is there, what risks you might take. You are probably going to have to become comfortable with being a pain in the arse, but this is how you're going to, and how to sound credible when you stop taking no for an answer. When you go to your CFO for more budget, or your line manager for to get approval on an idea that's going to break the mold and actually get heard, get seen, and not be invisible marketing, what data to take, what stories to take, what case studies, what arguments, and what you're going to do. How much is your neck on the line? How much ownership are you going to take for this going wrong? Because they need to be basically they're couched in fear, and you need to be the brave department. So the B2B, the Boring to Brave book was all about that. I wrote it in the first lockdown, whilst trying to stay sane, and it came out in 2021 and did okay. So now I trade off it in the way that you would, because you
No,
put some time into
no,
it.
no, no shame in that.
Completely,
No
like
shame in that at all.
it's what you're meant to do. And so, yeah, I'm out there talking about bravery, and the online courses for this. If this was the what, the course is the how and what to do next.
Yeah, sorry, I'm messing with you. I keep changing the camera angles. You're trying to hold it up, and it's not panned correctly. I'm just messing with you just to keep you on your toes.
I mean, it's keeping me on my toes. Like it's like I see myself in my dreams. It's like.
Okay, let's take it to the personal. First of all, obviously, I would be mildly concerned for your kids' well-being if they weren't being fed. Well, so when I said I didn't care, that's not entirely true.
Yeah, no,
how many kids do you have, and how old are they?
I have 2. Solomon is 10. Matilda's 8. And they are. It's an interesting. I reckon it's.
Which one's your favourite?
Definitely Matilda.
Didn't even hesitate.
It's all right. No, he knows. I think he's aware. No, I love them both dearly. They're like, I'm an old parent. I think I'm an old parent. My parents had me 10 years younger than I had my kids, and so there's all sorts of. And not only that, but there's all sorts of new world stuff that I think makes parenting. There's templates you can follow, and I've followed my parents' approach very, very closely, because I feel like they were amazing people doing an amazing job, and they gave up a huge deal. But there's also a load of new stuff to parenting, which generations before us haven't had to tackle. So there's things like working from home, there's things like
the internet,
screens everywhere, internet, and there's things like just even like TV on demand, not having to wait for everything on demand. The amount of playing outside that we used to do. I didn't grow up in a big city. I grew up in a small town in the northwest near Liverpool. And I don't know if that had something to do with it, but we ran free. Our children, the children down our street would be ever available. Would be on bikes. Would leave the house after breakfast and come back before tea. And
before streetlights come on.
Yeah, my mum couldn't see where we were from her kitchen window or whatever. And like now, the kids, unless you drag them to the park against their wills, kicking and screaming, there is no outdoor activity. And so and then it becomes clubs and activity. There's a whole load of the world that is, and then half of them have been through. If they're a certain age, they've been through the pandemic, which was crazy. And so, parenting is a gas. It's a proper.
If you don't mind me asking,
job.
How old are you? You said you feel like you're an older parent. How old are you?
I'm 48.
I mean, you're not that old.
That's the one.
I mean, you're not young. I'll give you that. Let's not lie.
That's not going to be the clip. The bit before it's going to be the clip.
You're not that old.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Yeah. Here's a mean question. When did you start losing your hair?
21. Dad lost his. Dad actually retained his a lot more than my brother and I did. My brother and I lost our hair at 21. I shouldn't have shaved my head at the time. There was a thing where mates of mine were shaving and going kind of close to the bone. And I did, and mine never grew back. My brother looks amazing in a baseball cap, so he got away with it for 2 or 3 years. I look a bit. I'm very special in a baseball cap. I do wear them, but I'm not. I don't look cool in a baseball cap. So I know it's going to happen to Solomon, and we haven't had that conversation yet.
You're going to have to prepare him for it, right? It's in the family. He's going to lose his hair. I mean, I like the way you own it. I'm not going to lie. And no judgment to other people, other men. Sometimes they'll have like this kind of like the side bit / the comb over, and it's like, come on, man, just embrace it. And I say this as someone with a full head of hair, but if it happens to me, I'm going to shave it. I'm going to wax it up. I'm going to make a gleam come off this bad boy. It's going to be the best chrome dome of all time.
And also, do you know what's interesting is I agree with you. There are guys who just need to hear the truth and say, listen, let me give you a a really, really good clipper or razor for Christmas and get into it and own it and love it. But equally, I feel quite, I wouldn't say angry. I'm not quite there. I feel frustrated at the guys with crap hair. The guys with a full head of hair that waste great hair. I had great
But
hair,
don't
Dale.
maintain it, don't brush it. Yeah,
I
yeah,
had
yeah.
great hair. Listen, when we got together, me and Deborah, I was already bald, and she said, "What were you like with hair?" I showed her some photos and stuff. I mean, believe
Yep.
me, I keep those photos handy. They're on my phone over there in frames. Like, but let me tell you this: I told her I always used to use this phrase. I had great hair, and I think she just thought I was just describing it rather than great hair trademark in capitals. And one day we were
Yeah.
on a train in Baker Street, and I saw somebody I'd done A-level English with, a woman called Anna Highway. Actually, as it happens, the daughter of 70s Liverpool winger Steve Highway. And I was in her class at English A-level, and I saw her and I said, Anna, Anna. And she looked at me, and because I was bald and old, she had no idea who I was. I said, it's me, Mark Choueke. And she went, oh my God, what happened to you? You used to have such great hair. And I went, see? Hmm? That's like,
Yeah,
it was an
it was so
endorsement.
great. It was memorable.
It was
Yeah,
memorably great.
it was memorable
And
by
so
someone.
now I see kids with huge hair, but it's like brushed down over their eyes or sticking up at the back, and it's like, what a waste, man! What a waste of hair.
Yeah.
Your hair's good.
Okay,
I mean,
I'm gonna bring it.
as a
Thank you.
full head of hair, you're doing good.
It's all right. It's all right.
You're
It gets
close.
the attention
You're
that I
so
need.
not going to broadcast any of this, are you? Oh, it's live. We're live, aren't we?
It's live. There's nothing we can do. Like, there's nothing we can do about it. It's live.
Brilliant.
There's me.
Yeah.
There's a recording of me saying I don't care about your kids within
Yeah.
the first 5
Yeah,
minutes
there is.
of
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
conversation.
Wow.
All right. Let's bring it back to work. I'm going to keep going back again because you made so many good points about your early career. So let's just think of that. You mentioned that a lot of people in your career, marketing, especially business marketing and editorial work, stay in their jobs for a long time. For people who are younger and starting their career within marketing, what advice would you give them to get into those kind of roles? Because if people like you, who conventionally stay in those roles, how do they get to that level, as it were?
So the question is, how do they get into specifically creative marketing or editorial jobs, or how do you get the job you want? What's the question?
I guess it's two questions. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
How do you get into it initially, and then how do you get again the seniority of the job that you want? Bearing in mind, people tend to age out of those jobs.
Yeah, okay. How do you get the job you want is not easy. I don't know about you, Dale, but I saw a post on LinkedIn just the other night saying this, but I think our recruitment industry is in a dire state. So I think if you are reduced to relying on in-house or agency recruiters finding you and presenting you in the best light, I only know one or two exceptional recruiters. I know I've had experiences with a ton that don't have the industry knowledge, the role knowledge, the resilience or tigerish determination, or indeed the kind of skills to correctly place people like me. And when I talk about people like me,
So ironically, they lack marketing skills.
yes, yeah.
No? Like,
So no, but here's the thing, actually.
sorry, just one interruption. Sorry, I got to give a shout out to Raquel Flores. She's watching from Texas.
Hello from
Hey, Raquel.
Texas. Wait, what time is it in Texas?
Thanks for
Wow.
watching.
Okay.
I think that's
Raquel,
7
hey,
hours
good
behind.
morning.
Or 8 hours. So, yeah. Sorry, you were saying.
People in editorial and marketing are, I think, hobnobs. They're oddballs. They are not. I've got a chapter about these kind of people at the back of my book about how you're kind of people. Certainly, people in journalism. They're made up of a certain thing that's hard to place and hard to box and hard to define. They're kind of, it can be quite annoying for colleagues, but they are relentlessly discontent. They're constructively discontent. They're always trying to be better or know more or do something different. They don't sort of follow the kind of natural path. They don't sort of do Oxbridge largely. I mean, loads of national newspaper journalists do, but the people I've worked with who are really, really creative and have come through other routes, like I was never meant to get into marketing, but people who find themselves in creative industries, it's not about what they want to be, it's about who they are. And if it's who you are, and you're not likely to be, you're not likely to survive a hello, Mark. Hola, Mark. Hi, Raquel. You and me are going to be friends, Raquel. After Dale and me finish, we should.
Oh,
We
you
should.
you need to connect with Raquel. She's awesome. Like
Oh,
she's
do you know her?
just a fan. Yeah. We're friends.
Oh,
She's a really
wicked.
cool person.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
Raquel, let's connect. It's not about what you do; it's who you are. It's more about it's about if you're not likely to survive a career standing behind a bank desk being a teller and doing the same things in a grey office and a grey suit with rules all around you, and you need to be able to express yourself. You'll find a way into those jobs, and the part that the part you need to understand to get those jobs is sometimes you're going to need to break some rules. Rules are
Hmm.
only important to the person or organization that made them up. And most of them are dumb
Well,
or
apart from
self-serving.
laws, like some
Yeah,
laws are kind of
yeah, some
needed.
laws are quite important. Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of the way corporates work and the way you manage to get your opportunities, you can't rely on other people doing it for you. I'd say the best piece of advice I ever got was from a woman called Sue Farr, who's still an advertising legend. And a long time ago, we worked together. And she told me that nobody cares about your career but you. You're the only person in the world that cares about your career. And whilst that sounds harsh, no,
Mm.
and you will always have champions and advocates and people to rely on and mentors if you are the right kind of person who values relationships and gives back. You're the only person that can make a move. And so if you don't get an interview at the company you want to work for in the role you know you're perfect for, don't take no for an answer and keep going. Find a way in.
Sorry, that was that was really insightful. I just want to give another shout out to Raquel. Look at that. This is what I like about this. Mark sent you a connection request via LinkedIn. Honestly, if you guys have a chat, I think it'll be a phenomenal conversation.
I can't wait. I don't know if you remember how we met each other, but I actually switched on. I think I opened LinkedIn just as you were starting a live chat with Joe Lines. And I'd never
Hmm.
seen a live chat on LinkedIn. I'd never seen that happen. I'd never been lucky enough to switch on just as it was happening. And Joe's an old colleague of mine, and you were having a brilliant conversation with him. And I was delighted to listen. I was on a tube knowing I was heading for a tunnel. And so I had just enough time to write and make myself known, just like Raquel is here. And that's how we met.
Yeah. No, I remember it very vividly. It was literally Joe Lines, and he mentioned you, and then you popped up, and then I mispronounced your last name, which I'm assuming almost everyone does.
Yeah, everyone.
Um,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Speaking of your last name, where is it from? Does it have a meaning? Like, is
Uh,
it like?
yeah, it does actually. The name is from Syria, a place called
Okay.
Aleppo. My grandfather came over from Aleppo with some brothers and landed in Manchester. My mum's lot,
Mhm.
as it happens, were from Poland and landed in Liverpool. So a bit
Mhm.
of a mishmash. And the name itself, we believe, and I'm yet to have this fully confirmed in a way that I could promise it, but I like the meaning, so I'm claiming it. Is thorn on a rose?
Thorn on a rose.
Yeah, thorn of a
I mean, this is
rose.
a compliment.
Yeah,
Based on our conversation so far, I
yeah,
think you enjoy being a thorn on the
yeah.
rose. I think that's kind of
Completely,
your thing. You like kind of
completely.
disrupting it and being a bit different and
I
making
really
people ever so
like being
slightly
the thorn of a
uncomfortable.
rose. Yeah,
But there is some beauty to what you do. That's my impression.
there you go. So look, I'm waiting for the first person who genuinely speaks Arabic to tell me that it means nothing of the sort. It means the dustbin out the back. But I'm sticking with thorn of a rose until I hear so.
No, that's cool. Okay, daft question. If you were a biscuit, what kind of biscuit would you be that accurately portrays your personality and why, but don't just pick your favorite biscuit?
It's probably going to be. It's a brilliant question, actually. It's probably going to be. I was going to go fruit and raisin cookie because
Okay,
of all the nuts and the fruit
like like a
and the.
like a Garibaldi or a proper cookie.
Well, don't try and label me. I don't want to be. I don't even know what a Garibaldi is really. And I remember the name from my childhood, but it's like a proper organic,
It's
huge,
a fruit and raisin
crumbly.
biscuit.
Okay, all right. So then, in that case, I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be. And here's the final answer: a dark chocolate covered ginger snap. Love those
A
things.
dark chocolate covered
Covered
ginger
ginger biscuit.
snap.
Like ginger biscuits, it covered
And
in chocolate, either milk or dark, are just awesome. But the dark chocolate has an evil to it. It's like a real. If you have one, you're going to have loads, which is why I try not to have one.
And how does that portray your personality?
Oh, I don't know, Dale. Because I've got the. No, I don't know how. I'm not going to go there because somebody's going to clip this, and I'm going to come across as a right old Nelly. Honestly,
Lech.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
can imagine. I can see the look in your eyes. You're going for like a blind date kind of answer, and I'll be like, yeah, smooth,
yeah. I mean,
smooth.
do you know? I've never had a blind date in my life. I don't know how those things work.
Me neither. But I was referring to the show that no longer exists with Cilla
Oh,
Black.
Cilla Black.
That was a
Yeah,
great show.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Like,
of course I
blind date.
remember that. Yeah. Are
Okay,
you in my
okay.
age bracket? Because that's a child of the 80s
No.
thing. Are you? Are you
No
younger?
chance.
Are you lots younger?
Yeah,
How do you know? How do
significantly.
you know blind date then? All right, significantly. How
Okay,
do you
so
know blind date?
okay, so like your generation and my generation. So I'm a millennial, right? You're Gen X, cusp, right? It's 10 years difference between us.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that happened in the late 80s/90s was from the 80s, right?
Yeah.
So there's some overspill. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 36.
Do you reckon that we got the best name, Gen X?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I think
Most
we got the
definitely.
best name. Yeah. Generation X.
Boomers.
Like what happens?
Generation X.
What happens after Gen Z? Are they the last ones? Like, does the world end? Like, what's going to happen after Gen Z?
End of days. That's literally what's happening.
I mean, I think people should be talking about that a bit more. Bit worried about that, but you know, there's
The
loads.
seas
of people
will rise, the
Yeah.
mountains shall crumble, the skies shall fall.
I know.
After Gen Z.
After Gen Z as well. I came in at Don't Call Me a Gary Baldy and ended with Dark Chocolate, the wave of emotions right now. Yeah, Andrew, I'm with you. But no, I mean, going back to that, Dale tried to put Gary Baldy on me because of my description of the biscuit that would probably most reflect my. And I owe it to all bald men not to accept that Gary Baldy take. Like, I owe it. We're a tribe.
It was lowbrow.
Yeah.
I could have done better. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, we're a proper
right.
segment, bald guys.
Yeah. All right. Back to business.
Yeah, back to business because we keep trailing off.
Yeah. It's almost like one of us should have more discipline and ask people valid questions while doing
show,
this.
Man. It's your
one
show.
of us.
Yeah.
I know, right? I know. All right. So your book, you wrote it in lockdown. What? Just because you were bored, or you actually had an intent?
Yeah.
What drove you to write it?
If we try and describe that first lockdown to future generations, I think it'll be nigh on impossible to. Gary, my middle name. No way, man.
I'm going to read it out for people who are listening. Andrew Ward, not going to lie, I thought your middle name was Gary.
Yeah, brilliant.
Sorry, please continue with the insightfulness.
That first lockdown was terrifying. If you had kids, it was suddenly don't go out, don't see people, stay away from people, don't touch anything outside, so don't touch stairs, handles, escalators. Food shopping was hard. How on earth do you do that without touching loads of stuff that other people have touched and wearing masks? And if you wear masks with glasses, your glasses steam up. And honestly, there was, and then the kids and the effect on the kids from suddenly being ripped out of schools and ripped away from friends. And my sister moved in because she lives 10 minutes away and on her own. She's here 2 or 3 nights a week. She's an amazing sister and auntie, and she moved in, and we still had jobs to do, and I was serving clients at the time in kind of consultancy, so it was just a really difficult time. It was chaos, and it was amazing in that the sun was shining. It was 30 degrees every single day of that summer, and we were all outside in the garden. I mean, I'm so grateful we had a garden. But it was a terrifying, really, really, like, it was a proper jolt, and and we had a government full of crazies who weren't guiding us, leading us, or informing us particularly well, and we didn't know what the hell was going to happen next. We didn't know how long it was going to last, or is this it now? Like, am I waving to mates that I might see down the road from afar because we can't hug, you know? And I needed an outlet, and I stayed up most nights putting a book together, thinking I've got loads to say and I've got loads of time and I'm a decent writer. I wonder if this could work. And it went through several iterations. I mean, you write to get down to 55,000 words. I ended up writing about 120,000 words and then scaling back, and that was a really, really tough thing to do. Like what that I have written is not going to make it into this book, and then once you've shedded a load of weight, does it still all fit together and flow? But it was a process, I'd say, that got me through the first lockdown, and it was it did very well when it was published and people liked it. I don't know about you, but the first time I put anything new that's creative out there, whether it's a painting or a piece of music or a creative campaign, even though you feel experienced and you believe in it and you love it and you think it's worth something, there's still this moment of like, am I just going to look an absolute fool? And you press the button to publish a book, and so the first feedback you get is the thing that sort of it floods in, and it's like heartbeat time. But yeah, people liked it.
And the answer to this question might seem really obvious, but I'll ask the dumb questions. Who is the book for? Who is it aimed at? Should I read it, or is it aimed at a particular person,
my sister,
personality type, or particular role? Like who's reading this book?
My sister, who's a primary school teacher, has read it 3 times and loves it and cites it back to me. It's not a business. I tried not to write a business book. I've got a problem with business books. I've got some on my shelf, but I find with business books that, lots of them.
Oh wait! I need to ask. Sorry to interrupt. What business books have you got on your shelf?
Oh, I've got. I mean, the ones I'd recommend any time. Hold on.
Yeah, it's cool. This is where I need to get some hold music, something like that.
The maddest business book is this. I bought this in a secondhand bookshop years and years and years ago and took it on holiday for an inspirational read. The Real Madmen by Andrew Cracknell, with a foreword by Sir John Hegarty. The remarkable true story of Madison Avenue's golden age when a handful of renegades changed advertising forever. It's just a beautiful read with beautiful artwork, and it tells of people who were willing to take a chance and take a risk and formed incredible culture. Anyway, I've got business books on my shelf, and here's the problem I have with a lot of them is you read the first 2-3 chapters, the introduction to what they're going to say, and you get it. You go, no, I get that. That's really good. What a good thought. And then they show you a load of frameworks and models and shapes and triangles and Venn diagrams, and you go, yeah, see how it works in this situation and that. And then and by the time you get halfway through the book, you go, I've got it. I get it. It's a good thought. What else? And it's like more of the same. So I very rarely finish a business book. I very rarely get past sort of 3/4 or half. And I wanted a business book that does 2 things. Firstly, I wanted it to not sound like a business book. I wanted it to sound like it was written by me, just because if it's the only book I ever write, I want it to be something other people can read, like I can be proud of. I didn't want to sound sort of all businessy and corporate, and obviously if you're writing a book called Boring2Brave, you kind of need to sort of use a certain tone of language. Yeah. But the other thing is I've written it in sort of, it's not, you don't need to read it chronologically, and you certainly don't need to read it from end to end going forwards. You can dip in and out. There's sections. There's, like I said to my mum, who's in it, by the way, if you want to, you can find a chapter that you like and tell me you've read it, and she bought it 3 times, my mum, because I think she got a bit confused with Amazon, and she didn't need to buy it because I had one for her. But so there's, if you're visiting Southport near Liverpool, and you're looking for something to read, my mum's got a couple of copies. But yeah, so essentially, for me, it was a labour of love. It was like, if I'm only going to write one book in my life, let's make sure that it stands up and isn't just for... So the answer to your question, yes, it's for you. It's for anyone who's into marketing, communications, PR, or indeed just being brave and sorting yourself out and giving yourself the best chance of being the best you. I like it. Again, it's self-help books I have a real problem with, because they kind of, after a while, they come across as quite sort of cheesy, but and a little bit sort of...
I have a question from one of the viewers, by the way.
Oh wow, this is interesting.
Andrew Ward, is that the same for audiobooks? Is your patience longer for the repetition? So you mentioned you don't like reading business books, you don't really finish them. I think that's what he's asking about. Do you have more patience when it comes to audiobooks if you're listening to them?
Yeah, I do, Andrew. have certain podcasts and audiobooks that I'll listen to. And if we were talking before about Dale being significantly, was the word he used, significantly younger than me, this is what's going to really make me sound old. I
By
listen
the
to.
time you're 50, I'll still be in my 30s.
Okay.
That's significant age difference. That's all I'm saying. I'll still be in my 30s when you are 50, if my math is correct. Probably isn't, but
It's just what you're boasting about is the passing of time, Dale. It's honestly it's I'm confident my 50s are going to be amazing. I think there's this thing where we all think we need to be at our best and hit our peak and be brilliant and have made ourselves and our careers and found our 15 minutes of fame in our 30s, and your 20s is getting there and your 30s is where you I can't imagine why anyone would think they're going to hit their best self in their 20s when they're pissing around after university or whatever they've done beforehand, and they're still trying to figure out who they are. And your 30s, when you're sort of entering the world of work properly and finding your career direction, not even your 40s. I think everything you're doing right now is
Andrew Ward, burn.
Yeah.
Order some aloe gel for you, Gary. He's
yeah.
calling you Gary as well.
Yeah.
Andrew, come. Be more respectful. His name is Mark. Let's leave the hair jokes, because again, Andrew has ridiculous hair.
Amazing
like
hair.
his hair is
Amazing hair.
thick and luxurious.
But I think your 30s and 40s are training for your 50s and 60s, and in my 50s and 60s, I intend to be something extraordinary. Like, I just think it's.
I mean,
it's
depends what
laid
you're
out
training
for.
for.
Well, it doesn't. I think whatever makes you happy, whatever you're training for.
You say training. I think of weights, and I know my prime for weights is gone. When I was 25, super strong.
Well, I'm
now
in
recovery not so great. Like,
I'm in training. I'm in training. I'm training and developing leaders in B2B marketing to try and make a living, right? So I'm in training. It can be anything, but think about guitars. Think about I'm into painting. I've discovered I love to paint in the last 2 or 3 years. I've written a book, so why not another? I don't think that. I think I'm not going to put a ceiling on what it means. And to answer Andrew's question from earlier, I use audio and podcasts to fall asleep, which is kind of, what makes me significantly older than Dale. But I think my 50s and 60s are where life's going to be a hell of a ride, because I'll have had the experience and understanding and the context and the things I've learned from the last 20, 30 years. I'm very much. I used to. At any one point, you're scared of 20 years on. I couldn't have imagined what 30 felt like as a teenager. Right now, 50 doesn't feel as threatening as 40 did. 50 feels like a moment where I could.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you a really mean question?
I don't know, Dale. You don't seem to be holding back, mate.
I mean, no. I've been holding back so far. This one's like the meanest question I can ask anyone that ever comes on this.
Go for it.
Like the meanest question. Like, you might need to lean forward. I'll lean forward for this one. Do you want to lean forward?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a book. I haven't read it yet. I should have read it before we came on.
Don't worry.
But you also have a course. Why should I go on your course, or why should anyone else go on your course?
It depends. If you are in B2B marketing and feeling dissatisfied, discontent, held back, disrespected, and you want to be a business leader, you want more influence and more a role in strategy, a role in shaping the business, and you want to be listened to, and you want to test your mettle and be confident with, walk into the same rooms you are now, having different arguments with more confidence, then come on my course. If you want to go and learn digital skills, go to Google's Digital Garage. I'm sure it's great. If you want to be a better marketer, I couldn't recommend more highly Mark Ritson's MBA in mini MBA in marketing with Marketing Week. I think I've done that course. It's absolutely phenomenal. But there is nothing out there that is just for B2B marketers to encourage braver moves. If you want to have a better career and be paid more and be in line for better roles, that's one reason to go. But for me, it's about it's about coming away from every single day at work feeling so much better about yourself, because you got things past the barriers, and you've got people's belief, you've got influence. It's really, really hard to flex your brave muscles, but when you do, it spreads. Bravery spreads. People see you having more agency and more influence and more taking risks and being braver, and that stuff spreads. It means your colleagues get braver too, and suddenly you're the leader of the gang. You've got followers.
Going back a step, I don't know if you remember saying this, is because it was about 10, 15 minutes ago. You mentioned that your book and the course will enable marketing strategists to have better conversations with other people within the business,
Yeah.
which gives them a better business case. And you mentioned having key numbers for a CFO. Would you be willing to explain or give examples of some numbers that maybe marketers traditionally forget to bring, but actually if they did, I know it's giving away parts of your course, but I'd just be interested to know, like, what kind of numbers do you see that marketers don't give, but actually they should give to the CFO or the CEO to actually validate what they're trying to do? Because as you mentioned, and I've seen this in organizations I've worked in, marketing spend, like you say, afterthought, it's what's left over in the budget, when in fact sometimes marketing should be driving the change, not just be the afterthought. So
100%.
as a marketer, what figures do people often overlook or not bring to the table when they're trying to get a brave initiative off the ground?
Forecast revenue. You should be able to forecast exactly what you're going to make. You should be able to forecast the leads. You should know how many leads it's going to bring in and what each lead is going to be worth. You should be able to forecast the revenue. If you and by the way, forecast, the word, does not mean that you know. It certainly doesn't mean you're promising. It means you're forecasting. If you look at the business I worked for last, I think in the last year, I'm told, has reforecast its targets, its sales targets 3 or 4 times because it didn't know what the market was doing, or it forecast badly or whatever. Forecast is just giving somebody a finger in the air, guide. This is what we're aiming for. Have a target. Have a target by your name. I haven't taken a job in the last 3 or 4 years of my career without insisting that I have a revenue target above my head, just like the sales guys. Because as soon as you accept that responsibility and put yourself under that weight of responsibility, everybody knows you've got skin in the game, so they have to respect you. If you don't have revenue by your name and you want to speak up in a meeting, who's going to listen to you? It's like, honestly, what does the colouring in guy contribute here? What's the risk for him? I'm a sales guy. I'm trying to, have a revenue target. So for every campaign that you do, you go and tell the CFO exactly what you expect to get out of it for the business. Not likes, not sign-ups, not
impressions,
not forecasts,
not click-throughs,
not downloads, bollocks. How much money is it going to make? And then when it does hit, you've got all the confidence and credibility to go and ask for more. And if it doesn't, you damn well find out why and have a good hypothesis on why and feel really smart and good and strong and confident about explaining why, so that people know you're taking this stuff seriously. Like, half of this course is about how to be a better marketer by getting people to trust you, but half of it is how to actually be a better marketer, because there's tons and tons of us in jobs, I think, who, given more responsibility, would not take it because they'd be too scared. They'd be too, I don't have those kind of skills. It's about skill. Don't go in and say you're a better marketer without actually being a better marketer. So become qualified, put yourself through it.
Yeah. There's another thing I'd like to pick up on. You kind of mentioned it. I don't know if you realised. You mentioned the dreaded S word. You mentioned sales.
Yeah.
In my mind, sales and marketing are two sides of the same coin. In my experience, sometimes there's a disparity between the sales team and the marketing team. In your experience, do you know why this occurs, or your opinion as to why this occurs?
Yeah, it's covering arses. I mean, if you are
just like covering arses.
Yeah, it's arse covering. You have to find a way to work together with sales so that they feel supported but not served. You're not serving sales. If you're in a job where you're literally serving sales every day with whatever 10 or 20 different salespeople come to you with a request, or you're not doing marketing, and you need to stop being so subservient. That said, if sales don't feel supported by you, you're gonna hear about it in the wrong rooms, in the wrong meetings. If they don't hit their targets, it's going to be marketing's fault. If they don't if they miss out on a deal, it's going to be marketing's fault. So you need to be able to win them over and influence them before you need to be able to blame them if they're going in and selling badly or selling wrongly. You need to be able to help educate them on, listen, rather than just selling the product, this is our story, this is our strategy, this is our positioning. Is there a way I can help you sell on this? Because this is going to be memorable, this is going to generate long-term trust, this is going to generate huge awareness and get you onto. There's a guy in here in this book of mine called Rory Sutherland, who your listeners and viewers might well be aware of and should be, who talks about the difference between sales and marketing. He says marketing is actually harder than being a developer or being a sales guy, because for all of those guys, there's only one right answer. For marketing, the opposite of a right answer is not a wrong answer. It's another potentially right answer. There's loads of different ways in which we can approach our job. And somebody else, a brilliantly clever guy, says in the book, Doug Kessler, who runs Velocity Partners, an absolutely amazing guy. He's got great hair for an old guy. He's got amazing hair. Check him out. Silver Fox. He says, everybody thinks they're more commercial than the marketer. Everyone thinks they're more hard-nosed. You'd get laughed at if you tried to look across the sales guy and say, as a marketer, I'm so much more commercial than you, so much more hard-nosed commercial than you. You'd get laughed at. But actually, think about it this way. The sales guy is thinking about one lead after one lead after one lead. They're thinking about deal by deal by deal, sale by sale. They're trying to get a sale across the line in order to beat their target in the quarter, right? We're not thinking about we're not thinking about one deal at a time. If I get my piece right, the brand, the positioning, the appeal, the desire, they'll never have to worry about lead generation again. You get people coming through the door. I'm talking about removing the need for worrying about lead by sale by sale. I'm talking about understanding a way in which you almost never have to sell again. So sales and marketing done badly is conflict. They conflict with each other. They blame each other. There's a blame game. There's discomfort. There's always pointing fingers, and there's always, you're not doing enough. You don't understand. Sales and marketing done well, and I've done it well in the past. I've done it horrifically badly in the past, but I've also done it brilliantly well with sales partners that really do buy into the stuff that we're doing, where you can support them on a day-by-day, lead-by-lead, sale-by-sale process, and you want it as much as they do. You'll be in the pitch if need be, giving a different context. You want absolutely every bell-ringing contract closed as much as they do, but you also prove to them that with the pipeline of the stuff you've got coming down the line with campaigns and content and stories, that this is the stuff that's going to help them sell better and be more successful. That's the win. That was a long answer.
I'm inclined to agree. No, it was a fantastic answer. And Andrew's commented, he's gone with a surprise face and light bulb. I assume that means he agrees, and he's probably just like, wow, you've done a proper... Because Andrew works in account management / sales. He's a BDM kind of guy. And I've got a lot of respect for him as well, because I think he's the kind of salesperson you just kind of described. He knows that marketing and sales work together. Yeah, I've seen him do it in meetings and stuff like that. So he's very good. But no, I completely agree with you. I've seen it where marketing are subservient to the sales team, and I've also seen it where the marketing team are not listening to the sales team. Yeah. I can give an example. Marketing. This is a company I worked with previously a while back. I was in the sales team, and there's seasonal variation in the industry I worked in, and everyone knows at a certain point in time, no one is answering emails, no one's reading them, and the marketing team were like, "We're going to send this email now. You need to follow up on the email," and all the sales team were like, "If you do that, you're just going to annoy and alienate our entire audience. We know we're doing this a couple of years. You don't contact these people in March, like Stone." But they did it anyway. And it became a whole thing. Yeah, and there was all that blame
the way B2B marketing gets done is not all everybody else's fault currently. It's also the fault of marketing teams that see themselves as a silo and have plans and campaigns and strategies that are incredibly that are just completely and utterly divorced from everything else going on around the business. And that's, again, I don't want to keep pushing the book, but there's a chapter in the book that's about shoe leather and getting around the company and understanding everybody else's job and everybody else's needs and everybody else's potential wins, and understanding how you can best fit with product, with sales, with customer success, with partnerships. If you're trusted and seen as somebody who can make everybody else more successful, and you can plug in. You're not serving them, you're supporting them, but basically you're a business person. You're trying to understand go-to-market strategy across the board. If you can stop being a marketer and start being a go-to-marketer and understand what the commercial side of things means rather than just the creative and the, then suddenly you're going to be of value. And that's what I'm trying to teach.
Wow. I'm tempted to end it on there because that was really great. Thank you for elaborating. I appreciate it.
No worries.
But before we wrap things up, I have two kind of closing thoughts / questions. One is, do you have any questions for me? And the second one is, do you have a final bombshell or nugget you want to go off on? Any kind of advice you want to give? So there's two questions there.
Okay. Question for you is, I'm intrigued as to how you got into, I'm going to make you say it, Flabonga, come on.
Monthrothacube.
Yeah.
It's hard, isn't
it? I haven't seen many people doing live stream on LinkedIn, and I certainly haven't seen people doing many conversations like this that stray from business to personal and into biscuits. I just haven't seen it. So tell me how you got into it. What's the game for you?
What's the game? Or how I got into it? What's the game? Started doing these back in lockdown. At the time, I had my own business, and I wanted to stand out. And I was like, how do I do that? I also know that selling on LinkedIn directly just doesn't work. No one likes to be pitch slapped, is the term.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, how do I have conversations with people, learn about the industry, and get my face out there? Also, I like learning things. So I was just like, let's just do it. Let me just ask people I know. And unfortunately, I'm connected with some very clever people who are experts in their field. And I was like, some of them my friends before I was on LinkedIn. I was like, hey man, I'm now on LinkedIn. Do you fancy doing this? They went yes, and they said, and I warned them. I said, I'm going to ask you some silly questions as well. The driver for it was based on the two different camps you have on LinkedIn, and I'll do two extremes. There are people on LinkedIn who only do pictures of their dog, their lunch, and their food, and I would say save that shit for TikTok and Instagram. Because if that's all they're doing.
Yeah.
They're the other people with extreme who super corporate, super selling, blah, 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 look at me, I'm selling, blah, blah. And again, that's too much. And I was like, how do I get a medium between the two? And live stream was the only way I could think of doing it, where, first of all, people aren't really prepped. Well, we do like 10, 15 minutes before to make sure audio works and, we do like pre-prep.
Yeah.
But I can ask questions, and I can do it by actively listening and then disrupting with silly questions. And I thought that's the only way I can physically do that, where I get both in a setting.
How's it
and
working
I like
for
doing
you?
it.
How's it working? What's the proof to you that it's worth keeping going and you're more than just you love it? What's happening?
So you asked me what my game was. I'm not going to lie. At some point, I'm hoping to get sponsored for this, or some kind of payment. I'm not talking like tons of money or millions. I don't need to be an influencer or anything like that. But just so I can say I made some money from this. How do I know it's working? So LinkedIn does have some metrics on these. Yeah. I know how many people watched it live. I know how many people watched it after like 3 or 4 months. So every 3 months I look back at these and I can see that the numbers of views are going up. I also have it on YouTube as well, which is another platform of doing it. So yeah, my goal is to get to like 500 active live listeners. That's one of the goals. And to get a sponsor to give me like 200 quid a month, just to have their logo on the side. That's my goal. It's not massive.
Shout out to Gibson and Fender. Dale plays guitar and is looking for sponsors. And so, it might turn out that the end credits to Flabonga Mama Mama is played out live by Dale on his Les Paul.
Man, if Gibson give me a Les Paul, a $3,000 guitar,
yeah.
for the show, then I've definitely made it.
Yeah. Listen, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. It's been a really lovely lunch time session. You need to go and eat. I'm going to leave you. You asked for one more bombshell. There isn't one.
One nugget.
The bombshell is this. I don't know that I knew everything there was to know on the way up, but I've split from jobs early. I've had instincts about the right jobs to take and the sort of people I want to work with and for. I've constantly sought out, new. They call it. It's very trendy to call it out of your comfort zone. But I've sought out doing something different and finding something different and learning something different and bringing it all together like a synthesis of experiences. Mm-hmm. In the old days, you used to turn up to a job interview, and if you had a career like mine, people would say, "You seem to have jumped around a lot, Mark. What's that about? You know, are you not very?" And now I think there's a greater respect for, synthesizing experiences and gathering experiences. And there's two fantastic women who have written a book 2 or 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, called Squiggly Career, and they have a brilliant
Mm.
podcast, and they've got huge followers. Helen and Sarah, they're absolutely wonderful. You should go and check it out if you haven't seen it. But there's more respect now for people making decisions based on personal needs and personal interests, and a different set of ambitions than just going up and up and up and getting the carriage clock. I don't know if
Mm.
I had anything different from anybody else, but I always felt brave. And I think bravery is, if you can look at me and go, wow, that guy's got a shiny head, or wow, that guy's good at talking, or he's got a Epiphone casino behind him. But I honestly think my only superpower was bravery. And sometimes it got me into trouble, and I think it will for forever. Like, that's personally and professionally. But
Mm.
and you expect heroes and brave people to look like Indiana Jones. We don't all. Again, not good in hats. My head is absolutely massive. It's like a planet. But the bravery thing always won me respect and agency and influence where I probably didn't merit it, and opportunities that come. So my only take is, I see so many, and I've segmented it and narrowed it to the focus of B2B marketing. I see so many of them that are cowed into misery. And what's that about? What are we doing? We've only got one life. Like, I want to teach people that bravery is not reserved for Indiana Jones and others. It's there for all of us. Like, the amazing, remarkable thing is that more people aren't doing it. So yeah, teaching bravery is my thing for now.